This is your fourth stimulus check update and daily news report, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I hope all of you guys are having a great day. So a bipartisan infrastructure plan costing a little over $1 trillion, only about a fourth of what President Biden initially proposed, has been gaining support in the United States Senate.
Republicans and this group did not want to go along with any of my family plan issues, the child care tax credits, the human infrastructure that I talk about. And that we'll see what happens in a reconciliation bill in the budget process. If we get some compromise there, and if we can't.
But disputes continued on Sunday over how it should be funded. President Biden told reporters last week that he will have a response to the plan as soon as Monday after reviewing it. 21 of the 100 U.S. senators, including 11 Republicans, 9 Democrats, and 1 independent, are working on a framework to rebuild roads, bridges, and other traditional infrastructure that sources said will cost $1.2 trillion over 8 years. So everybody, before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. Now, one of the 21 senators, everybody, that was Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, said on Fox News, if the president wants an infrastructure deal of $1 trillion, it's there for the taking. They just gotta get involved and lead. Now, Biden, everybody, is seeking to fuel growth after the crisis and address income inequality. He had initially proposed about $4 trillion to be spent on a broader definition of infrastructure.
Associate myself with what the president has put forth to build back better. What this bipartisan bill is more of traditional infrastructure, which is important, but we have to do more in terms of how we go into the future. So let me be really clear on this. We will not take up a bill in the House,
including fighting climate change and providing care for children and the elderly. But the White House trimmed the offer to about $1.7 trillion in talks with senators in a bid to win Republican support, which will be needed for any plan to get the 60 votes normally required to advance legislation in the Senate. Senator Rob Portman, the lead Republican working on the bipartisan plan, said Sunday that the gas tax indexing provision might not survive, but then the Biden administration will need to come forward with some other ideas for raising revenue without raising taxes.
I've said many times before, there's nothing our nation can't do when we decide to do it together, do it as one nation. Today is the latest example of that truth in my view. I'm pleased to report that a bipartisan group of senators, 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, part of a larger group.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said on Sunday that Democrats would push to include dental, hearing, and vision coverage in Medicare, healthcare programs for the elderly. Speaking in New York City, Chuck Schumer also said the plan would undo some of the former president's tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations. Now, discussions on a fourth stimulus check might also come this week as Congress meets again. According to Yahoo Finance, now that Congress is meeting once again, discussions surrounding another stimulus payment are likely. CNET also reports that there was a large group of lawmakers that have voiced their support for another round of stimulus checks. On top of that, Yahoo Finance reports that there have been some developments that could bolster the pro-stimulus check side since the last time Congress met. For example, everybody, a new analysis of stimulus checks showed that the checks really helped Americans. In fact, the stimulus payments resulted in lower rates of financial instability, food shortages, and depression. After the analysis came out, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders tweeted his support for another round of checks because of the study's findings. So everybody, it is good news that the White House Press Secretary, Jen Psaki, said the president would be open to another round of checks. As of now, President Biden has already passed the $1.7 trillion American Jobs Plan and the $1.8 trillion American Families Plan, which he believes will help reshape the economy. Some of you might get a form of financial relief in July. This will come in the form of the expanded child tax credit, which will be distributed between July 15th and December 15th. Under the American Rescue Act, the IRS would send out monthly checks between July and December for eligible parents. CBS News reported that a total of 36 million families are expected and eligible to receive the payments. Families will receive $300 for each child under 6 years old, and $250 for each child between 6 and 17. According to data from the Department of Commerce, consumer spending in retail increased almost 10% in March, after the third round of stimulus checks were sent. However, spending levels declined in April and continued a downward trend even further in May. All this data, everybody, points to the need for a fourth stimulus check. It is very much necessary that our politicians in Congress help out the American people and send out more financial relief. The New York Times reported on the discussions with experts who believe the data shows that consumers have most likely spent all they need to furnish their homes or upgrade their phones during the homebound months of the crisis. Rather than spending in the retail market, they're shifting to others, including travel and dining. So everybody, should Congress send out a fourth stimulus check? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a great day and stay safe.
For it. Even our Republican friends are now beginning to admit there's no evidence these tax cuts are being put to work in the economy. No new growth, just more debt. And that puts middle-class programs that they rely on and they've worked for at real risk. Paul Ryan was correct. When he did the tax code, what's the first thing he decided we had to go after? Social Security and Medicare. Now, we need to do something about Social Security and Medicare. That's the only way you can find room to pay for it. Let's come together and forge an agreement that will create millions of American jobs and modernize our American infrastructure to compete with the rest of the world known in the 21st century. I want to thank them for working together and for raising their ideas and concerns with me and with the Vice President, as well as with our jobs cabinet. Secretary Buttigieg is here. Good to see you, Mr. Secretary. Secretary Fudge, Secretary Granholm, Secretary. There you are. Okay, I gotta make sure. I thought everybody was on this side. Secretary Raimondo and Secretary Walsh. I also want to thank Senator Shelley Caputo for her earlier work on infrastructure agreement. We didn't reach an agreement, but she tried her best to get something done. I'm sure it helped produce the final agreement we had. Now, the fact is, investment in jobs and infrastructure have often had bipartisan support in the past. Matter of fact, when I first got to the United States Senate, it was probably the least difficult thing to do, is pass infrastructure plans. But even so, it's been a very long time since the last time our country was able to strike a major bipartisan deal on American infrastructure, which is so badly needed, I might add. We devoted far too much energy to competing with one another and not nearly enough energy competing with the rest of the world to win the 21st century.
Including Senator Tester, are saying that they believe they're at really the kind of razor's edge moment with deciding the pay-fors for infrastructure. Can they go forward? Do you feel that there is the possibility of some kind of a development within the next 24 hours? Would you agree with that sense of the timing? And is there anything new that the White House has offered for paying for these infrastructure programs that we have not learned of from you before?
Well, there's no question, as you know, it's much easier to negotiate with Congress when they're in session. So we're certainly hoping to make progress over the next couple of days. I'm not going to put it 24, 48. There's a couple more days in the week.